Hey folks, just about to try something a little different for me. About to embark on definitely the longest and hardest trip that I've attempted with a whole bunch of awesome folks. Max Budnick, Xander Budnick, and Jim Baird. And we are about to spend 10 to 12 days crossing the Temagami region on snowshoes, and I'm going to try to ski.
We're only at that island there. Eh?
Yeah, this is a big lake.
It's a huge lake. Hey Nate, it's your buddy Xander here. Just a reminder how far we had to walk back to get your GoPro. I'd say about a good old 2K, but it's all in the name of adventure. So we just keep going forward. Whew, beautiful day. Yeah! Well,
Oh my god, thanks dude.
man, it was a good little walk. Jesus. I'm glad you remembered early enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, like that. Maybe a little bit of paracord on it, obviously.
Yeah, I'm gonna get all these part that's there.
It's recording, by the way.
Oh.
It didn't take long for us to hit our first patch of slush, slowing us down completely, and I was too busy wading through it to realize I also should have had my camera out. Although we didn't make it as far as we wanted to, we did find a nice campsite for the night on the leeward side of an island, just in time for a beautiful sunset. That night I was dead tired, but also excited that the trip had finally begun, and it was to be the first of many nights when the heat of that wood stove would put me right to sleep.
Started day 2. Still trying to get off Temagami Lake and into Wolf Lake today. Complete weather flip compared to yesterday. The sun is gone and it is windy and snowing. It's a little snowy today. Forecast is calling for 4 centimeters. I think we've got that since we left camp. It's definitely making things a little interesting on the lake in terms of visibility. It is nice out though. I mean, it's a heck of a lot better than it being minus 30, that's for sure. That right there is a 8 to 12 inch in-depth pile of slush that we just went through. I didn't quite make it, so the fellas threw out a long line that I had in my top tank and basically towed my sled in. And now we're all de-icing, taking a bit of a break, and really hoping that out there the slush situation does not repeat itself, because that was just misery.
Super nice. What's that? Yeah, you want to wait? I mean, I got my axe. I can check the ice because.
Open water at the end of the lake well before the portage meant we were bushwhacking around it.
We have been following an old logging road from Temagami Lake and hoping to pop out on Wolf Lake. We've had to do some cutting of brush to get through, and now we have this sweet, steep, long hill to deal with. Yep.
All right, go, go, go. Keep going, keep going. Wait, okay. That was challenging.
Yeah. It's been another lengthy day. A little bit of everything. Some slush, some crazy trail that we're now camped out in the middle of. Just after 9 o'clock at night, just finished dinner of moose stew, and we're settling back, and we'll probably be in bed in about a half hour and up at it early all over again. Well, it's just after 6 a.m. And it is coffee time in our tent as we get prepped for another long day out there. But nothing gets you going like a big old pot of black coffee. Heading out towards the river right now through the bush, but we have a bit of a drop before we get to the flats before the river, and we are going to have to basically belay down or slide down with the aid of some climbing rope over there, all of our sleds. It's just too steep to try and hand bomb them down. And Xander's prepping the rope right now. All right.
Love the dried blood on this one. Keep her coming, keep her coming. Halfway. Okay, a little more slack. Okay, keep her coming. Wait, come on, get here. Go, 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 go. Go.
Yeah. You ready?
Oh, it's great.
All right, you're good, you're good. Left. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Oh, sorry, Xander. Don't do anything. You
Slow
gotta
it
be careful,
down.
dude.
Oh!
Well, the scenery along this portage, absolutely beautiful. We're almost through it, but it took a chunk out of us. We had to two-man and three-man the toboggans pretty much all the way through, just with the inclines and declines. But we're almost there, and now we're kind of stopped to enjoy the rapids just below the trail. We're almost done the portage. We've come out here at the lake, but I think as you can see, we've got open water, and there's even more around the corner there, so we're now looking at alternatives to try to get around it. Jim and Xander out on that point, scouting it out, trying to figure out how we're going to get around this and see what they would come up with, while a bush plane is somewhere overhead, probably wondering what the heck we're doing. We made it onto Sylvester Lake, probably 50 meters in. So far so good, fingers crossed, and the sun feels amazing. What a beautiful lake.
This is the second time you need paracord on your GoPro. Oh, hey man.
We got to the end of Sylvester Lake in pretty good time in fantastic conditions, and we're confronted with more open water. So we're just preparing for another bushwhack to get into Wolf Lake, where we are going to set up camp for the night. But as the crow flies, it's about 200 meters to get to the lake. But because we're bushwhacking with sleds, it's going to feel probably like 2 kilometers. Well, we finally made it onto Wolf Lake after a bit of a bushwhack portage. Now we are setting up camp. Xander and I are setting up tents, and Max and Jim are getting some standing deadwood for the stoves. The sunset tonight, the light at least, is real nice. So soaking a bit of that in while we work to set up camp. Glad to have made it here. It's about 5:30 in the morning of day 4. Northwood has decided to join us in the tent for some cuddle time and warming up. He decided for once this trip he wanted to be an inside dog for a little while. Still super dark out, kind of misting. A little weird, but cozy in here, getting the coffee cranked up, and getting ready for another day on the trail. Still pretty early, and unlike when we got here, cannot even see halfway across the lake, so the condensation in the air is making things pretty misty. Kind of an eerie view of what we're heading into there. Just taking in some open water scenery at the north end of Wolf Lake while we portage into the next one. It's really nice. attempting to get into Dudney Lake from Wolf Lake, round 2, in the search for thick ice.
More. Didn't go through. Good.
After traversing some questionable ice, we've made it onto Dudney Lake, and brighter times ahead with hopefully some good snow conditions as we cross the lake. So we devised sort of a new system in that usually it'll be Max and Xander who are out front, and we'll go and test out a slushy patch. And if it's just too deep, then we change direction completely, like we are right now, to avoid it, because that slows us down a lot. We are on the portage from Dudney Lake into Chinaguchi, which is sort of a winding, mostly uphill trail that we are trying to weave our way through with our sleds, of course. Xander's finishing this portage off into Chinaguchi Lake in style. Nice.
After some discussions on the trail that day, we knew we would have to come to terms with the slow pace that the weather was creating for us and what that meant for our original goal. With the time we had and the weather we were getting, crossing the region just wasn't realistic anymore. And so the map was consulted and a loop was created instead. What you are hearing there in the background, I'll just let it play for a sec. That lovely sound in the background is freezing rain.
Freezing Rain's joined us.
Yeah.
Round of applause.
So luckily we got the tent set up and everything just in time.
Want me to season more? I'll fake it.
Sure. Cool. Man, that looks good. Moose steak for dinner tonight.
That hits the spot. Wow.
It's the start of day 5. We're working our way across Chinaguchi. The sun is doing its best to try to get through to us, but so far it's been a pretty gray, snowy, windy day. Some slush patches, but we're working our way through it, and we'll see where we end up this afternoon. So graceful.
Thank you.
Well, we're navigating little bit more open water at these narrows, and popping over to the next section here, but seeing a lot of open water around here for mid-February, that's for sure.
Yeah, I just got a little sketched out.
After a hard-fought afternoon, Chinaguchi is behind us onto the next lake, and looks like that's where we're gonna set up camp for tonight. Man, this is beautiful out here though. Wow.
There you go, buddy. Look at that.
Oh man, that looks delicious.
It is.
Jim is whipping out a bit of lake trout that he caught early this morning before we left camp. And now we get to partake of it this evening. Looks delicious.
Throwing a little of this Old Bay seasoning. And by little, I mean copious amount. I opened the big side.
Nice.
Not a sponsor, just a real seasoning that I find to be a game changer with trout.
After a long day on the trail, this is going to taste super, super good. Lake trout caught this morning. Well, it's the morning of day 6. It's our rest day. Slept in, and we're starting things off right with a big old pot of some Muskoka Roastery Howling Wolf. This is what my breakfasts have been looking like. 3 packets of Quaker oatmeal, some dehydrated fruit, that's a whole apple right there, and then 2 tablespoons of hemp heart for protein. Slam that every morning, and it gets me going enough to get out the door and into the snowshoes and start dragging that sled. We're having a bit of a rest day today, catching up on some sleep and letting our muscles and joints rest up. Max, Xander, and Jim are out there dropping a line in, hoping for some fish. The wind is pretty gnarly and it's shaking the snow off of all the trees and driving the temperature down a bit, but overall it's a really nice day and a great day for a rest day. I guess this is what you would call an organized mess, but it's home. Rest day activities. Petting the dog.
Dinner tonight to wind down the day is dehydrated or now rehydrated pasta, beef, veggie, casserole deliciousness. This is gonna taste wonderful, and it's gonna put me right off to sleep for hopefully like 8 hours. All right, morning of day 7, here we go. After our rest day yesterday, just about to head out of camp and towards Laura Lake. We'll see what conditions are like and what the day brings, but we've got a bit of a head start on the time we normally start from. So it's just after 8 a.m. Usually we get going just after 9. Pretty stoked to see what lies ahead. We are on the portage from Chiniguchi into Laura Lake. I'm just stopping for a quick break because this one is kicking my butt. It's about 1 kilometer long through some low-laying scrubby stuff. And it's a little warm today, so the snow's soft, creating a bit of drag. Yeah, this is definitely the longest portage of the trip. Looking forward to seeing the end at Laura Lake, that's for sure.
Maybe like because the
Open water and otter tracks, and Slush is the story of Laura Lake so far. The sun is out though, and it is gorgeous. And we're about 1 kilometer away from the end of the lake where we're gonna set up camp for the night.
Well, we made it to the end of Laura Lake and over a bit of a narrows, and we're on this small lake for the night. Nice little spot, nice and cozy, and Jim's augered an hole here. Oh, I look haggard. Damn. Alright. Well, it's the morning of day 8. About 5:30 in the morning. Got our oatmeal and coffee on the go. We've got pots of water on the stove to heat up to fill our thermoses with hot water. And shortly we'll be sort of packing up camp and hitting the trail for the day.
This slush you see, that's actually pretty good compared to what we've been used to on a daily basis. We're still able to sort of kind of track over it without going down too deep. But the bottom line is that it makes for real slow travel. Just another Monday in Temagami.
My boots are wet.
Fun.
So what's going on is that we got off of an outlet of Laura Lake and onto a bit of a snowmobile trail because the slush was just ridiculous. So we've used the snowmobile trail as a little bit of a shortcut to get to the next portage put in the next lake. And we are now in a position where we can assess a little bit more of the open water that we're coming across, and it only really seems like the water levels have come up. So interesting times ahead with limited options for getting out of here, sort of closing in the further we go. In the meantime, however, I spotted some old moose tracks heading off into the bush here, and then I spotted a little bit of cedar here, and so I'm going to take a second and use my thermos of really hot water that I filled this morning and make a quick bit of trail tea. That'll be quite enough to get some good tea going in a couple minutes once the water gets to it and it steeps, and nice and piping hot too, so it's going to feel it's going to taste delicious a little further on down the trail.
I mean, like, okay, but from like more of like a... Oh, we're flying the drone right now to scout the ice, and it's way worse than we expected. Just long stretches of open water, and
the whole thing.
it's all
The
terrible.
whole thing, yeah. There's no like, oh, that looks okay. We can cross from this side to this side.
It's all open stretches and punky water, and it's not just the punky water, it's the water that's going to be flooding all the snow around it to make it all slushy and soupy.
I'd imagine how this would look after +2 and all the rain yesterday. It might just open up in places. Like,
Sounds fun, doesn't it?
And so to the snowmobile trail it was, which had its pros and cons. On the plus side, there was no slush, but there were some hills. Actually, there were lots of hills.
Well, there's just a little bit of excitement on the old snowmobile trail traverse today. I was skiing down a hill. Sled was out in front of me, hit like a weird lump in the trail. I let go of the sled. Sled went out of control, hopped the snowbank, and plunged about 20 feet down an embankment into basically like, I don't know, a ditch full of water, and I had to get roped out. Thankfully, the sled actually stayed upright in the water, almost like it was floating, and the boys were able to give me a tow out. But for the actual footage of it, because I was freaking out and didn't think to grab my camera, you will need to watch Max and Xander and Jim's videos, because that was just something else. Probably the last thing I needed today, but got through it thanks to those guys. Huskies. Well, the snow's a nice touch on a day like today. Brightens things up a bit. Might slow some things down. That is one big hill. Just on the portage trail off the snowmobile trail into Wolf Lake, and saw this absolutely beautiful old growth white pine. I wish there was a better way to capture its scale, but it is truly stunning. Wow. Absolutely massive. It would probably take 3 people to wrap their arms interlinking around this tree, for sure. Just beautiful. And we are back at Wolf Lake, just in time to set up camp. I'm gonna catch a bit of a sunset, it looks like. Phew, that was a day. Good morning and welcome to day 9. It's about 6 a.m. We are slowly packing up camp, and the goal today is to get from Wolf Lake back to Temagami. It's going to warm up really quickly this morning, so we're going to see what the slush conditions are like out on the lake. We have a couple of real interesting portages to take care of, and we're going to see how that goes with deteriorating snow conditions. But it is a beautiful morning on day 9. Moon's still up, and the sun is slowly coming up behind me as well, and it's about -5 out, it feels like. We are going to see how today goes. Beautiful morning on Wolf Lake on the go. Oh, that sun feels incredible. There's all kinds of fresh tracks on the lake from last night as well. We've got some hare tracks right down there. And there's some coyote tracks or wolf tracks just a few feet back. This is so well graded right now, it feels like I'm just pulling nothing. It's effortless cruising, which is really nice for a change. Well, here we are at the end. We made the decision to boot it down the snowmobile trail as far and fast as we could today, because the forecast tomorrow is calling for rain, and rain on an already slushy lake system would have made travel a little far less than pleasant and also far less safe. So we actually we made it further than we thought we would. We made it 17K today, and we are now at the end of a dead-end road. We are going to leave our toboggans here and walk to get our vehicles and then come pick up our gear. It's been an incredible 9 days. I'm really grateful for Jim for inviting me on this trip. I learned so much, I saw so much. The experience was absolutely incredible, and having Max and Xander on this trip as trip mates was unreal, and overall it was a complete blast. and full of challenges, and also full of lots of rewards. Be sure to watch all of their respective videos on this trip. Max Budnick, Jim Baird, and Xander Budnick. And thanks for watching this.